Hello Year 5 and 6, and today's date is Tuesday the 30th of June. Now yesterday we looked at our learning journey question, which was how have recent events helped develop my character and support my transition. So today I'd like to look at our gateway, which is explorers. So follow my passions and seek challenges in order to aspire to be the best version of myself. Now I'd just like you to pause the video for a moment, or I'll leave a bit of time actually, and just have a think about what that means. What do we mean? What's explorers? And how does that relate to following my passions and seeking challenges in order to aspire to be the best version of myself? So just have a think about that for the moment. Okay, so explorers. Now it's not necessarily discovering new countries, but for us it could be to be curious about the world and how we fit in, particularly in light of recent events. Our learning journey question, we've had a lot of time to think about what has been happening and to be very curious, and obviously this has led to new experiences, new ways of doing things. That's all exploring. Okay, so follow my passions and seek challenges. So passions then. So passions is being enthusiastic, is an enthusiastic enjoyment of an interest or an activity. So how is the learning journey question? So in light of the lockdown, is there anything that you've discovered that you enjoy doing? Have you got a new interest or an activity? Have a think about that. And then in order to aspire to be the best version of myself. Now what could that mean? What does it mean to be the best version of myself? So really that's about overcoming fears and pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone. So doing things differently, you know, finding new experiences, which I think many of us have definitely had to do in the last few weeks. Right, so from our gateway, I want us to think about the following questions. So how am I finding out about my passions or my place in the world? So like I said, you know, have you discovered anything new that you like doing? How can I use reflection to make an informed decision when faced with a challenge? So you've had to reflect on things and make changes, overcome challenges. And how have I taken myself out of my comfort zone? So let's have a look at how to present that information. So today, what I would like you to do is a mind map with those key questions in, and have a think about how recent events have affected these things. So for example, how am I finding out about my passions or place in the world? So an example for me would be the availability of food. So at the beginning of the lockdown, it was very difficult to get food delivered or to get out to the shops. So that I thought about what I could do, and the weather was really nice. So I'm fortunate enough to have a garden, and that encouraged me to start growing my own food, which is something that I've never done before. And I found out over the last few weeks that I feel quite passionate about it, seeing my tomatoes start to grow, my strawberries, my herbs outside, my basil. You know, it's all very exciting, and I feel quite passionate about seeing the fruits of my labour, so to speak. So that's one example. And then how have I taken myself out of my comfort zone? Well, again, the lockdown, the situation, has forced us to do things very differently and forced many of us out of our comfort zone. So an example there for me would be teaching in a different way. This is not a way that I've ever taught before, and it's very different to what I've been used to, and at times I'm feeling really out of my comfort zone, especially when I've had to use different programs on the computer, ones that I've never used before. So I've had to, overcome those kind of difficulties and taken myself out of the comfort zone. So is there anything that you can think of that you've had to do differently, that you've not felt very comfortable with to start with, but actually it's made you better at something? So for example, I know lots more things to do on the computer now, programs that I can use when I'm back in the classroom. And then the last question, how can I use reflection to make an informed decision when faced with a challenge? Now again, like the comfort zone, we've all been faced with lots of challenge, like the different ways of doing things. So how have we reflected and overcome that? So I do that there. So for example, for me, it was new routines. And what I did was I wrote lists to make sure that I could get everything done. So if I had lessons to plan, if I had meals to cook for my family, time spent with my family and my children, I reflected on the fact that routines work well in school. So I tried to make that work at home as well. Okay, it was adapting, reflecting on what has worked well in the past and how I can use that to decide what to do in this different situation. And for me, that was just basically making a new routine and writing lists, because I can be quite forgetful, I've learnt. So making sure I get everything done. So have a go, set out your mind map, explore in the middle, those questions, and think in relation to how, have you discovered anything that you like doing during the lockdown? So I've discovered a new love for gardening, which is something that I've never done before. How have you been taken out of your comfort zone? So what things have you had to do differently? That is, the recent situation, lockdown, what has made things happen differently for you? And then finally, how you've faced challenge. What have you done to overcome a challenge? So for example, it could be the home learning. That could have been quite a challenge. What did you do to overcome that? Did you reflect on things that worked well for you whilst you've been at school and how you can use that at home? Or it could be, you found you didn't have as much free time, or speaking to friends, missing friends that you normally see. So really think carefully about how the current situation, the last few weeks, have affected these things. How have you become an explorer? How have you been pushed out of your comfort zone? How have you overcome any challenges? What have you found challenging? And this one, definitely, any new passions, any new interests, hobbies that you've discovered. Okay, well, we look forward to seeing your ideas on Class Dojo. So take care for now, and I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye.